Item number 29, motion presented by Councilor Argenzio. The mayor request the Chief of Planning and Community Development, the owner's project manager and architect for the McKinley School project to appear before the City Council to discuss the project, specifically the construction of a proposed 145-foot radio tower.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we've been aware of this project at the McKinley School for quite a while now. The 911 facility and the child care and the municipal offices, and I think we're all in favor of it. It's a great project, and I'm in favor of it. But just a few weeks ago, it's come to light that it's going to require a 145-foot antenna so that we can properly communicate with Winthrop and Chelsea. So a 145-foot tower is going to be a dramatic landscape change to the neighborhood and to the central business district. So I would, and I did attend the site plan review meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I asked some questions there. I have a lot of questions about the tower and how this just came to light or how this was just discovered. Mr. Skorowski is here tonight. Maybe he can shed some light, but I would like the architect, the OPM, and who did the study that says that this is required. Now, I know this is going before the ZBA on Wednesday. My intent is to go there and speak and see if I can get this tabled until the team comes up and explains how this happened and how it just came to light. And now we have, I don't know, the ZBA is before them about the height restriction. You can only go up 35 feet. This is 145. We have an ordinance that there's other rules and regulations that govern this tower. They're not supposed to be attached to any public building. They're not supposed to be close to any residential homes, and there's going to be extremely close to residential homes. So that's my purpose for putting this in. I'd just like some answers before this goes any further. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other city councilors? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So about 5 years ago, we fought to keep the 5Gs out of Revere because we found out that there was a lot of studies that it was causing microwave radiation coming down 60 feet from where the satellite was located. So we kept it out of Revere. We wrote an ordinance. When we see electrical fields, there's no neighborhoods near them because electrical fields also create havoc on people. I just don't think that it's right to put a tower, and we don't know what's going to be in the tower, what's it going to have, if it's radiating microwave whatever to people. I mean, I think we need to do a lot of studies on this because it could be harmful to people, and especially in a neighborhood dense as where McKinley School is. So I think we really need to do our homework on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've heard from a lot of people on this. Obviously, as soon as it's come out, people are calling. I've had people give me suggestions. Why don't we put this tower up on Reservoir and bring a cable down? I don't know if that's engineering feasibility. I mean, I'm not a engineer, but I think that would be a great solution if we could do that. But to put that in that neighborhood, you know, it's a hardship on the people that live right next door. I'm looking forward to hearing all about this, but it's not a good, right now it's not a good solution putting a 140 or what is it, 145-foot tower? I mean, come on. And how come when we talked about moving the rec center to the McKinley School, nobody said anything about this? It's the biggest piece of equipment related to this project. It should have been the first thing we talked about. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. So that's my biggest concern, because we voted on this, and it's very important for us as elected officials to make sure that when we're voting on things, we're making informed decisions. And I feel as though this aspect of it, I didn't know about it. Had I known about it, I may have wanted to ask for, if there were any other different options that we could have explored and things like that. So I have a big problem with it from that point of view, the fact that I didn't know about it until now. The other thing, in terms of all of the other safety concerns that we've heard, we live in a environment where we have very unexpected weather conditions with high winds. I would feel very uncomfortable knowing that this is close to residential homes with that in mind. I mean, we even had a tornado come down Broadway, right down Broadway, not too far from this location. I know that was kind of a fluke, but stranger things have happened. So I wouldn't feel too good about this being so close to residential homes. In that regard, when those concerns exist, I wonder what that does to maybe property values in that area as well. So I wouldn't want to see any decline in property values to the surrounding homes because of something like this going up. So I think this is definitely, I commend Councilor Argenzio for bringing this motion. I think we should definitely put the brakes on it and maybe get the ZBA to hold off on this until we can do a little more research and get some more answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. The good news is we won't be able to put any political signs on this thing. But I have the same issue that Councilor Zambuto and Councilor Kelly brought up. When we approved this size of a tower and location was not brought before us, and any say that the council had is now taken away. All we can do is fight through other boards and means to try to slow this down. There's a lot of questions that we need answered, and thank you for standing up here and taking all the blows tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Janino.
Hi, Tom, thank you. I'm not comfortable with the size of the tower either. I can't figure out why there aren't other options available to us. I know back in the day, the old station, we're next door. We had a repeat up on Reservoir Avenue, and yet we had Bayburn, which communicated with all the surrounding cities and towns around us. So they're saying they need a tower to reach over to Chelsea and Winthrop and what have you. But I'd like to see other avenues or options looked at before we move forward this year.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other councilors? Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you. Tom, two questions. Maybe you can answer them off the top. Maybe you have to get some information. One, can we make it 200 feet? I'm kidding. Can it go up on Reservoir Ave where the reservoir is and the other antenna is up there? And two, can it go on the roof of the building?
Okay, thank you for the questions, and I'll try to answer some of the other ones afterwards as well. I understand that you also want the OPM and the designer to come speak here, and you've probably heard enough of me tonight. I'll try to keep it brief, but hopefully I can address most of your questions. Any other ones, I'd love to hear them so I could bring them back to the team. Starting with the Reservoir Ave question, which we have heard quite a bit. This system will basically operate as a hub and spoke system with McKinley being the hub. Were we to have the tower solely located at the Reservoir Ave site where it is today, have the microwave tower located there, we wouldn't have the redundancy that's necessary to create the public safety standards that we would need for a facility like this today. So what that would mean, Malden Ave last year, there was a car fire that actually knocked out some of the underlying fiber and put the system out for about 2 to 3 days. In Winthrop, a similar situation happened where somebody was digging and it hit the fiber network and disrupted Winthrop's fiber network and thus the Metro North region for a few days. There was another instance at school in Central last year that occurred right around Thanksgiving And because it was right around the holiday, it took over a week to get the system back functioning as it should. So fiber is the first line of defense in creating a strong network of communication, and all 3 communities will be connected through fiber. But there needs to be redundancy in the system, and that's ultimately what this radio tower provides. So the microwave towers, or the microwaves at the top of the tower, will communicate in those instances where redundancy is needed, unlike a 5G tower that Councilor McKenna had mentioned earlier, which is constantly transmitting signals. This would be used in those instances where we needed that backup and we needed that redundancy. And it's important to note the microwave tower is quite different from a 5G tower. They're two, in terms of the impacts and everything that was discussed. The second question that you had mentioned, if you could remind me.
Can it go up above on the roof?
Oh, can it go on the roof? So I'm actually going to hand each of you some responses from Introba, the team that put together our analysis of what we would need for the height of the tower, why the tower height is necessary. We also have an analysis from our engineer that's working on the project that did state we could add a tower to the structure of McKinley. It would still need to be 145 feet tall, and given the structural load that would place on the building, it would exponentially increase the cost. And just aesthetically speaking, not that that's the most important thing, but it would look a bit strange, and I think it would take away from the building and the grandeur of it. So I think that's important to note. And the one comment I had heard a few times, if I could address, the vote that was taken to consolidate the rec. So currently the rec serves Winthrop and Revere. There was a recent vote taken to bring Chelsea into the fold as well. The tower does need to go to 145 feet to reach the Chelsea Soldiers Home. But even without the addition of Chelsea, the tower would need to be at least 110 feet to reach the Winthrop Water Tower. Not to minimize the height difference there, but actually it is important because the tower gets thinner as you go up, and all the appurtenances are below 100 feet. So everything you see above, from 110 to 145 feet, again, not insignificant, but you won't see the antennas or I think there's 1 or 2 microwaves that will be there to catch signals when necessary.
Okay. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So 5 years ago, when we discussed the 5Gs, the reason why we discussed this was because the fire department and Central Fire had a 5G on top of their roof. And what was happening was the firefighters were getting sick, and they didn't know why. And then they finally figured it out that when they went up to the roof, it was blocked off, and it said, please do not come to this point, radiation, whatever. So that's how this whole thing came up. So, we do have to protect the people, we have to protect the neighborhoods, but we also have to, I really do think it just can't be shoved down our throats. We really need to do some studies on this, and I just don't think, if you want to put it on the roof, I don't think it's a good idea, because what's going to happen under it, people are going to be working underneath the building. So, and they're going to get exposed if there is any kind of radiation or microwave connection. So, I really do think we can't just jump on this. We really need to work on this. Thank you.
And one thing I would note too, I understand that it's coming in front of the council and it feels like for the first time tonight. And I would say there is an opportunity for the council ultimately when you make a decision, hopefully to fund this project, the full McKinley redesign. That will be an opportunity for a vote that will come much later on. This was not a decision that we made without careful deliberation, not just on the impacts of McKinley itself, but even for about 1.5 years before we decided on the McKinley as the site for the 911 call center for the region, we worked with Whitney Morgan, the executive director there, and her team to try to find sites in Winthrop, to try to find sites in Revere, and to no avail. And to Councilor Kelly's point earlier on another topic, we are in a densely populated community where it is hard to have a site that's completely and absolutely isolated from neighborhoods and from where people live. And this was the best site we found on a municipal property that we could utilize to, again, reach and fulfill a really critical public safety need for both the city and the region. But it was one that wasn't taken lightly.
Thank you, Tom. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tom, you know I have a lot of respect for you. This could be a deal breaker. And it could be a deal breaker because the city council was not informed. I voted on something I would have never voted for. I was the proponent of the first rec center I was heavily involved in building the police station. I'll say that lightly. But I spent every waking hour when that place was being built. And there were some appointed officials that didn't speak to me because they thought it was a trade-off of bodies. And but I know how important a rec center is. But to come up now, I mean, you know, with all due respect, when you say we put a lot of thought into this, where the hell was it that the council knew that we were going to get a 150-foot tower? Nowhere. I don't care how much thought you put in it. I don't care how much effort was put in it. This is blindsiding us, and I'm telling you, I'm looking to kill it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Tom, just one quick clarification, if you could, please. So when you first said why it had to go at the McKinley site was because of the, I don't know, the receive and the send to the thing. But then you just said that we looked for another location in Winthrop, in Chelsea. How would that have worked?
We looked for another location for a 911 call center specifically. So once you
Not just the antenna.
whatever the location is, that's to be the hub of the hub and the spoke. And then in November, as we initiated design, we understood this to be something that was necessary. We brought in Introba as a team to figure out what the necessary height of the tower would be. We learned that height in June. We then applied in July to the site plan review, requesting a variance once we determined that the height was of a level that was necessary. Again, there, in full transparency, within a month of us learning that, we put it in front of a site plan review, going to ZBA, understanding we would have these conversations as a community. I respect that, again, it's a tall tower, but it's one that we're being very transparent with the community about the need for from a public safety standpoint.
Thank you, Tom. Any other, Councilor Kelly?
Thank you for the leeway. Tom, you said that this would basically be in use when the fibers fail for some reason, so that the system's down for some reason, and then this would kick in as kind of a backup system, correct? So there are no other alternative options to utilize in that scenario when, you know, the system goes down, the fiber goes down, there's no other alternatives that we could employ?
That's my understanding. And again, if you look at some of the precedents, Holbrook, Lynn, Saugus, the North Middlesex region, 911 call center, Newton, Boston, all recently developed 911 call centers that all have these towers because I understand the current public safety facility on Revere Beach Parkway does not have one. That's in part a question of sight lines. But also this new system does create those necessary redundancies. And like it or not, we live in a different world. We live in, at times, scary world where we have to protect for our security and make sure that we communicate as clearly and effectively as possible while reducing those redundancies. So again, I believe at a future meeting, the police chief and the fire chief will be here right behind me speaking in favor of this because they appreciate and understand the need and the importance of having this tower. And again, we wouldn't want it there unless we absolutely needed it.
Thank you, Tom. Councilor Cogliano.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to state that I am hearing from early education teachers that they're very concerned about this as well. I also heard that some of the school department is in favor of this. So just to put things in, so one question is, are the police and fire departments on part of the communication about this project? Are they okay with this? I mean, I know that we need it for them. I know we need to do something we have to make it happen. But how do they feel about the height, the location?
So we've all deliberated this carefully over the last few months since we learned what the height was going to need to be. And they, I don't think, understood there would be a full discussion tonight, but Wednesday, when they knew there would be, the police chief, the fire chief, the executive director of the rec, Whitney Morgan, and her team will be here to support this because they understand the importance from a public safety standpoint.
And, sorry. Yeah, I just looked up the height of Broadway Towers, and it's 101 feet. So we're talking about 44 more feet high is the height of that tower, just so people can get their eyes on how tall this thing is actually going to be. So thank you Tom, thanks for coming up. Like I said, taking the punches. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Genzio.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Skorowski, this wasn't meant to hammer you with the questions. I had wanted, who did you say the company was, the engineering firm that, Introva?
Introva's
Right,
the firm that did the study for the radio waves.
So hopefully they'll be able to appear before the council, because I think that's where the questions are going to be directed. I know I had asked for the OPM and the architect, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to answer these questions. Will they be able to appear before the council, you think? And
I think they would be.
Okay.
I'd like to think I could do a good job answering the questions, but
Okay.
I hear you, and I appreciate it.
And I think Councilor Kelly brings up some good points. We need redundancy. We need a backup system. Is there something else that can give us that redundancy or that backup? I know you had said in Winthrop the fiber went down. So what happened when that fiber went down? Nobody was able to talk to each other
Essentially, they were able to communicate, but ineffectively by their public safety grade standard.
Okay.
That's how it's been communicated to me by the rec.
Okay, so I would like to ask this company these questions. Like I say, and the biggest concern is how this just came to light. You know, this 145-foot tower. And at the site plan review, I said if the report came back that we needed a 200-foot tower, you had said, well, we'd be talking about a 200-foot tower. So it seems that if we were going to get a 911 call center before anything happened, that study should have been done, and that we would have that information before we entered into this whole project and got excited about it. That should have been the first thing before anything else was done. That study should have been done. So I'm a little disappointed that wasn't the first thing that was done. So hopefully we can get them before us. I intend on going to the ZBA on Wednesday and asking them to table it until we're satisfied with the questions we want to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you for the leeway, Mr. President. I just wanted to ask Tom, does the tower look like the one down in the VFW in Beachmont? Is that what it looks like?
So it's not a cell tower
Okay.
in that way where you have, again, the appurtenances, difficult word to say, are all kind of shooting out in every which way in a cell tower. This is much more sleek, and it just sort of a tall tower. You'll see some radio antenna under 100 feet. And then at the top you have I think it's about a 2 or 3 foot in diameter radio transmitter, a microwave transmitter. But it won't have all those things poking out in every which way like you might see in a cell tower.
Okay, and do you know how big, just for people's knowledge, if they saw this tower in the VFW, do you know how big that is, that tower that they have down in the VFW? Is that about 140 feet?
I don't believe so, but
Okay.
I don't want to speak out of turn.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kelly.
Just one quick question. Sorry, Mr. President. Thank
That's
you.
okay.
does the city intend to lease space off this tower with, you know, in my previous life, I was in the telecommunications tower industry, so will they be leasing any space to private companies on this tower? Whips and panels, Omni panels and things like that?
This is intended to serve public safety and public safety alone.
Intended to, so there's no way that they will be leasing space.
No, I was just answering the question the way you asked it, but no, that's not the goal, that's not the intent. We don't aim to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And Tom, thank you very much, but I appreciate your time tonight.